Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Demonologist. This time I'm going to be playing solo, and in today's video, we're going to be talking a bit about a guide for demonologists. Perhaps you're starting new and wanting to try demonologist for the first time. So, if you're just beginning out, you're not going to have a lot of the items because some of them will require you to purchase. However, when you're first starting out, you're given some items automatically, such as the EMF, the ESG, two flashlights, I believe, maybe, I think ectoplasm for sure. And then you're also given, I think, a spirit box as well and a UV light. However, once you're starting out, I suggest that you purchase a thermometer as fast as you can. Maybe a salt barrier as well. That's going to become very helpful, and usually I always play on medium just because it's a good pace for me. Now, when you're also starting out, you're only able to start in abandoned house, and I don't really like that map. My two favorites is always Cyclone or also Farmhouse. Those are, pretty easy but also pretty fun. But we're just going to be doing Cyclone Street for this guide. Now, starting out, I always suggest that you bring all the equipment from the tent towards the house. And the reason for that is because it reduces the time that you have to go from the tent all the way to the house. And even though the walk is short, you will have some maps that the walk is definitely much longer, and so you'd rather have all the equipment first. And especially with how time works in here, you want to save as much time as you can and preserve your sanity as much as possible. You will also have some side missions where you need candles to be blown out, or perhaps you have to take a photo of the ghost, and some items that help with that is like the Fulu. If you're not getting enough activity, you definitely want to use the Fulu to increase the ghost activity. Or if it's a wraith and you're close to exercising it, or you're doing the side mission still, you don't want the wraith to be getting in your way. So my suggestion for a wraith is to always use the Fulu. Fulu makes it go to sleep and less active, and so you're not likely to be hunted. Now, to prevent you from dying, I suggest that you also get a crucifix. Crucifix are basically your one-time chance of a shield that prevents you from dying, and it's only one-time use once the ghost is hunting, and it will be taken away. The other way to protect yourself is also the salt barrier, which is able to be used twice, I believe. And let me get a Fulu. I guess I'm full. But salt barriers can only be used twice before it disappears, and to basically just use the salt barrier, you just have to place it down while the ghost, or before the ghost is hunting, or during, but generally you want to place it down, at the very beginning. Usually I do it at the door, and so let's see what this ghost is first. This is Alyssa Wong, only answers when you're alone. And we'll have to do the computer data, the ritual on the pentagram, and also find the ghost time of death. This is also our sanity as well. But as I was saying, you generally want the salt barrier close to either the ghost room or perhaps near the entrance. That's always where we put it. Now, when you're first going to the building, I always suggest the thermometer, because just as phasmophobia is, the thermometer helps you find the ghost room really easy. Now we'll turn on this light and put down the salt barrier right here. This is just for safe measures, and I'll take the spirit box just to be safe. Now, the way that you can tell where the ghost room is if the temperature is consistently below 15 degrees. Now, sometimes there will be moments where it's at 16 or, varying from 15 to 20. You generally have to, play a little bit before you understand kind of what the ghost, or where the ghost room is. Now, as you can see here, it drops immediately to 10, so we know this is the ghost room, and we can try our spirit box. Are you friendly? Are you friendly? It doesn't seem... Oh, here we go. Can you speak to me? Can you say something? Are you friendly? That's weird. Can you speak to me? Are you friendly? So the spirit box wasn't working, so we know that's where the ghost room is. Once we know where the ghost room is, generally we want to take the ESG and the canvas and place it in the ghost room, because this is where you'll get the canvas drawing and also the ESG. Now we also see some smoke. That is also a sign for freezing temperatures, and that's an easy way to also know if it's the ghost room, in case you're starting out and you don't have the temperature. So we'll put down freezing temp. We'll also take down our camera and also a candle, and the only reason why we do the candle is so that it is lit up in case the ghost is perhaps someone who likes fire, or it's a shade, so it'll blow it out before it hunts. The other thing that we want to take is also the EMF. We see that there's a lot of activity. It's moving stuff around. So we want to take that and also just measure any of the ghost frequencies. Now we'll try the ghost box again. Are you here? Are you friendly? Can you speak to me? Can you say something? So the ghost box isn't working, but it is moving some stuff. We are getting EMF 4, but it is not EMF 5, and that's only going to count if it's EMF 5. So we're just going to be leaving. We also need to do the ectoplasm and also the UV light. However, UV light only works if they turn off and on the light or close one of the doors, just like that. Now we turn off our flashlight. We also check both sides. Doesn't look like there's any fingerprint. Usually it will be a whole handprint, so we can usually cross off the UV light or fingerprint in the evidence. Now to look for ectoplasm, usually you want to look from up and down of a wall. It's usually in the ghost room, and it could be anywhere, but it will usually glow at you. You can also check in this room and also in this room as well. Alright, so I'm not seeing any stains yet. It is breaking all these lights, unfortunately. There's also this room, but usually it's never in here. So I'm not seeing any ectoplasm stain yet. We'll move the ESG to see if we can get another reaction. Also move these canvases, because if the ghost is not doing what you want it for evidence, you usually solve this just by moving the evidence stuff. And sometimes the ghost can actually move rooms, so you want to ensure that the ghost is still in the same room. It's only happened to me once, but remember to always check your sanity. So we're at around 89%. We will be safe for now. They usually start hunting once you're below 60 or 50%, and we have everything we need. So we'll just basically wait for the ghost to do something. Forgot we can also cross off fingerprints. This would be a few of them. Now we just need ectoplasm, spirit box, or ESG. Sometimes for ectoplasm or other evidence such as EMF, you kind of just have to wait and let the ghost marinate essentially before you're able to collect evidence, and you don't get all the evidence right away, of course. And there's been times, or even there are certain ghosts where EMF is very hard to detect, so sometimes you have to make a random guess. Or oh, there we go, we got EMF 5. So there's EMF 5. We can put that down. We won't need ectoplasm, however we will need ESO, ESG, or spirit box. So let's try the spirit box again. Are you friendly? Can you speak to me? Can you say something? Are you here? Can you speak to me? Are you friendly? Can you say something? We can also do prompt by pressing P. Are you friendly? So it's not giving us anything, so we will move the ESG again. We'll move it over here this time since we've not placed it there. Now we also have to move the candle and also the camera. Another thing that is also helpful when you're with the camera, or why it's helpful is because some ghosts are shy to do ESG and you have to move away from it. So we're just going to go away and essentially wait for a reaction. Now, another thing that you want to know about certain maps is that there's some cabinets or storage or wardrobes in the maps that you can hide in, and this is particularly helpful when the ghost is hunting. However, to use these, you want to press E and make sure that the ghost doesn't see you while you're entering, because they can still hunt and kill you if they see you. Another thing I like to make sure is to turn off my flashlight. However, some people believe that it doesn't matter. Another thing that I will say, however, is you generally want to be quiet as you're in the closet, just so that the ghost can't hear you. Another thing that also happens is if you're playing on a medium game, or perhaps you're playing on a harder map such as Bedlam, then you also want to ensure that hunting is over. And what I mean is that sometimes the music can stop. However, the ghost is actually still hunting, and it's meant to trick you. And sometimes this can happen for a minute or 2 minutes or even 3 minutes. And I've had ghosts that hunted 3 times back to back, and it was like repetitive. But it's also because our sanity was very low at the time, and you just want to make sure that the hunting is over if you're being hunted. Now, we're not getting any activity right now, so going to look at my sanity level. Seems like we're 71. I want to keep this as high as possible. However, we're still in the okay zone where there's going to be more activity. However, we won't get hunted yet. Anything can happen though, so we're just going to wait it out. So those are the side missions. You could only complete the side missions once you confirmed the ghost that you're dealing with. So I want to make sure that the fingerprint wasn't an option, so it doesn't look like it's an Oni, because if it was, then our sanity would be draining very low. Another thing is that Onis like to do a ton of events that drains your sanity very quickly. So by this time I would have been at like 40 or 50% of sanity. And keep in mind that while watching this, you also drop your sanity, so it's important to always check it, even if you're back at the tent and watching the camera. But generally, when you're hunting these ghosts, you also want to understand what these ghosts and their types and their weaknesses and their strengths. So if you're dealing with a wraith, as I mentioned before, then you understand that they are woken up with UV light and spirit box, but they go to sleep with the Fulu, and generally they're more peaceful unless you aggravate them. Or if you're dealing with a yokai, I believe, then at certain times they're more active, and between 8 to 10 then they are guaranteed to hunt at least once. However, I'm pretty sure it's not a yokai. Yep. But we are dealing with a Jinn, Mare, and Abaddon, but I feel like I'm saying that wrong. So we also want to look at what the ghost types are. So Jinns are more known to be active, and it's very active and prone to hunting, and it reveals itself quickly. Now, with everything that we saw, we found that the ghost room was easy to find, but also that they were very active, throwing a lot of stuff. As you can see, they even threw something off of the dresser. So to find this, we know that we need an ESG reaction for the last piece of evidence. However, we can't be 100% sure yet, so let's check the other ones. The second one is a mare. It likes to talk, though it has been observed to be less active than other ghosts. Difficult to detect, and if there's someone nearby, it will not want to hunt. And we will need an ESO canvas for this. And for me, I feel like it's not a mare because it likes to talk. However, we haven't heard anything. And it doesn't have to be from the spirit box for it to talk as well. So we can somewhat cross off mare. The other one was the Abaddon, which is a cunning type of ghost and will not hunt their prey if they are defending themselves. And this usually means if you have a crucifix, to ignore you during hunt when holding a crucifix. Selects targets that cannot defend themselves. Very deadly. And we'll need spirit box for that. However, we didn't get a spirit box response, so I'm guessing that it is a Jinn. And ESG is always random. That's kind of why you should bring 2, and I didn't even bring the second one. So let's actually go and put it back in. So gins are very active. I'm assuming that it's 1, but we will also try out the spare box again. So we'll put the ESG over here this time. We'll move this one just because it hasn't given us anything. And we'll put the camera up here. Hopefully it gets that. We'll try the spare box again. Are you friendly? Can you say something? Can you speak to me? Are you friendly? How old are you? Can you speak to me? Alright, so it doesn't look like we're getting any spare box. I am fairly certain that it is a djinn, especially with how active it's been. So we'll just select that as our ghost. Now we also need the ectoplasm, but before we do that, we want to take a sanity pill to prevent losing even more sanity, but also reduce the chance of getting hunted, because these side missions are important and will require time. And as you can see, we're already at 54%, which is bad. And as you can see here as well, we also have the pentagram, so we know that's where it is. We also have to do the data and also find the time of death. So we're going to take our ectoplasm, but actually let me check my sanity again. So we're at 80%. I'm actually going to take my last pill just because, just to be safe. All right. I believe when you're starting out, you actually start off with only 1 or perhaps none. I forgot. But in any case, let's go do this pentagram thing. For this one, you just have to stand in the center and basically just stay still until you hear a noise at the end of it. I believe it is like around 30 seconds or a minute of having to stand here. So we'll just give it some time. And in the meantime, while we're standing here, we also want to find if there's the time, and we found it, so it's 6:50. Alright, so we heard the noise. We know that the pentagram is done. Now we have to go find this computer data, which can essentially be anywhere in this map. So basically, oh, here it is. Now you just have to upload it. You don't have to be on the computer screen. You can actually leave it. And once that's done, then you can start doing the clock, which essentially helps to exercise it. Or not helps, it does exercise the ghost. But we can drop our ectoplasm now. Our insanity or sanity is at 94%. We can also check just to see if we get an ESG reaction to just be safe, or like, you know, ensure that we are right in the end. But you'll know that the computer data is done uploading once you also hear the noise, as you heard earlier. And you could also check if you completed these. Now it will take around a minute and I think 15 seconds for the computer data to be uploaded. So right now it's just pretty much a waiting game. And exercising the ghost by doing the clocks is also very quick. There's usually either 1 or 2 upstairs, and then also 1 in the living room, or perhaps 1 or 2 downstairs as well. It really sucks if the ghost room is downstairs because it's a much further walk, but otherwise it's not too bad. If you get hunted very early, it can tell you about, you know, the type of ghost it is as well. But as you can see, we're now done, and the time of the death was 6:50. So now we have to go back inside, get our crucifix ready, and remember that the time was 6:50. So we're just going to look for some clocks that has just spawned in. Here we go, and then put 6:50 into this time. So if I remember correctly, this is 6, that's 50, 55, yep. Alright, looks to be like the only one here, and there's none here. So that tells me that the rest are either down here or downstairs. So there's one right here. So we'll move this one down backwards this time. So that should be 6:50. Now we also have one last one down here. And it could either be in both rooms or on the left side right here. It's not right here. So we'll check the rooms. And here it is. So here is the last one. And once we complete this, then it's going to be a clock noise. Yep. And now the ghost is exorcised. It can't harm you. It can't hunt anymore. And you are safe. Even if you do the voodoo doll, which is an item that you can find on the map, it won't be able to hunt you, I believe. But the salt barrier is just to sort of just be safe. And the Fulus are there if it's a wraith or perhaps it's a little bit slow. But let's actually go check to see if we are right. So we're back in my apartment. Ooh, a little bit of lag spike. But as you can see, if we look at it, we are correct. And we got 5,700 off of it. And it's very, you know, the reward that you get is different based on the side quests that you have to do. Some are more expensive and harder than others. Usually I get around like 3,600 to like 4,200. But it's, you know, a bit surprising that I'm getting at least 5,000 for this. But you know, maybe it's also because I'm playing solo as well. But in any case, that's, you know, a little bit of a small guide of how to start Demonologist. If you do enjoy the small guide, let me know if you want more. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.